when it comes to diagnosing someone with a condition in their body, there's a humongous quantum science that's being misunderstood by the entire world, that we call particle physics and quantum field theory. Okay? First of all, they don't really even know what gravity is, but I have explained it. They don't know how light really works. They don't know any shape of any objects in the particle realm, because it's not necessarily possible yet to visualize what particles look like. Some people are even proclaiming that particles don't necessarily even exist yet, which means we're in the matrix, because there's a law of volume that states that anything that doesn't have volume cannot exist. It's just simple geometry and motion is everything that we do. And there's a law of divisibility that deals in the law of particles, which means that all volumes are probably divisible because they give rise to the law of motion, which is the third law. In all particles, all volumes, and all divisibilities in all motions, and what they do is from an origin of things we refer to as magnetics, the law of magnetics. These four laws encompass everything that we do, including gravity, the magnetic field of Earth, particle interactions, all forces, all electricity, all energy, all chemistry, all biology, all of everything is encompassed by these four laws. The law of motion is relatively simple to understand. It's nothing more than force or energy times acceleration at a velocity. And that's really simple to understand. It's not autism to really get how simple the math is for understanding the law of motion. Okay, and it's easy to come up with because you take an object and you move it in a direction, and it has a thing called a rate. It's simply a rate. Everything is a rate of objects in motion. Time itself is nothing more than objects in motion. That is what time is defined as. So, like, to have evidence of a medical condition, you must show the objects in motion as they occur in a given circumstance or quantum scope, to prove that because a relative event occurred, that these relative events exist or occur, whatever they are. Okay, so medicine does not do this at all hardly anymore. They never really did. They never really quantumly accurately show what these sequences of like genetics or sequences of chemistry in the body or cellular interaction sequences, or they don't even know what real human standard model history would be based on how we've developed as a species, the history of our species, and what is normal and what is better and what is worse. We are far greater than any monkey that we ever were, if we even really truly came from monkeys. Some people think that maybe we have came from aliens. The aliens brought us upon this earth. So, what did we come from? Because if you do the historical research on what we are, you're not going to really find an absolute truth to what we are and what we're supposed to be. Okay? And this is where genetics and the proteome and the chemical makeup of humans and their existence on this so-called planet that might be a computer simulation called the Matrix, because we wouldn't know the difference if we were totally generated in a matrix versus reality anyway. And this reality doesn't seem to supply us with enough tools to actually be able to use particles to make measurements, to refer to the measurements of our bodies and our existence. So like we're limited on physical tools, which means there are some physical impossibilities. So guess what? At the end of the day, you're finding out in science, once you do a lot of research on all of the sequencing and the quantum physics, the particle field theory, the quantum field theory, the mechanics of everything, the standard model of particles and how that's changing and what it does to the Earth and what's happening with everything, you're going to discover that everything that we do on planet Earth is not fully understood. And like disorders like autism disorder or any disorder, even under the understanding of infection like AIDS virus or Ebola or just standard food chemistry or your mechanisms of your cells and how they operate, dosages, you name it. All of these things are a delusion. As a matter of fact, when you read on Wikipedia about vitamins and study the history of the understanding of who measured vitamins and how they measured it, you're going to find out that vitamins A through K were never really sequenced in the human body. They didn't really know how they worked. Are they really even vitamins? Today, they've studied some basic chemistry, which we do have some laws of chemistry that seem to be fairly accurate, but they don't sequence fully in the body. Vitamins A through K are just a standard of our food product system. It's always been there. They may not absolutely be vitamins. They may just be a part of the system. We think they're vitamins because we have yet to sequence what they really do in all cases of all chemical reactions within the body. Okay, I want to see your sequencing. I want to see the history of all of your components. I want to see diagrams. I want to see video evidence of all of the particulate interactions of the chemicals and cells in a histological or historical mindset perspective of everything that could occur within history and time and current on what is going on in the human body and what has gone on since the development of humans. Okay, we need to know the entire course. Now, before you go calling someone autistic or say they have a disease or a genetic disorder or whatever, this is really critical because you're making errors. Because you have yet to prove your sequencing on the whole part of what human interaction is. Okay, not only that, we deal in damage, okay, what we call deformity. Children can get deformed throughout growing up for different reasons. It could be just simply a deficiency that causes disorders, even after you're born. We don't know what all of DNA sequencing is and how it works out. Okay? Because it's in like millions and trillions of artificially intelligent computer programming sequencing. Millions to trillions of chemicals must be reacted with a sequence, and we don't even know what all of those chemicals really are. You would have to show us what they are. And then you're going to have to react them in the human cellular matrix to see how they interact in the body after we are created from meiosis. And then show us what the mitotic course or discourse is. And you have to show us how we're affected by any one claim that is made by a medical person or a scientific person. So it's not going to work in the end. You're going to have to provide a buttload, a in-butt load, a big load of material on how this works. I don't accept medical standards of 2023. I do not. I don't accept your medical standards. However, there may be some truth to some of this, but it's very quantum and very confusing on how that occurs and what it is and what's real about it. Thank you for watching.